What's up guys, it's Andy and I have a riding vlog for you tonight. The arena calendar looks like it's going to be quiet, so I might set some trot pole exercises. I have Paul coming out to film for me tonight, and I'm not really doing any canter work right now outside of verbal command practice on the lunge line, just because my friend Steph, who is a more accomplished rider than I, is putting training rides on him and working mostly on his canter, and she rides him on Tuesdays, which is tomorrow. So I just kind of have been focusing on walk trot, trying to build a better top line with raised poles and trying to work on his responsiveness. And we've also been riding BITLESS just to give him a break and something else to try and focus on. And he moves a lot better, I feel like, and I can have better contact with his face as opposed to his mouth, and he doesn't seem as resistant to it. So definitely will be riding in a lunging cavesson noseband with my reins. And yeah, I just gonna keep this vlog short. I might do a voiceover of some of the things that I'm working on with him, but let's go ahead and get out to the barn. I thought I would do a little bit of voiceover in this video as well. So like I said, with this ride, we are not working on cantering, we're just working on walk trot. I'm just gonna say it now, I am not looking for feedback or internet trainers to critique our bitless riding. It's not great. You can see us here practicing stopping and going because Elliot's still learning. He's only had a handful of rides in the bitless bridle, and there are some moments where it looks like I pull really harsh on him, but you have to remember, again, guys, I don't have a bit and the noseband isn't even really that tight on his face, so I have to be a little exaggerated at some points to make sure he's understanding what I'm asking. So if you have any concerns about that, keep them to yourselves, and let's just get on with our video. One of the things I like to do with Elliot is if something is distracting or piquing his interest, I will allow him to stand and watch and be interested safely in it. So he wanted to watch Malibu roll, so we just waited for a little bit until they were done. Elliot was giving me some steering issues on this day, particularly to the left, so we did go ahead and do a handful of figure eights and turns before going to the poles, just because I felt like after a while he was really dead to my leg this day and he wasn't following the rein pressure, and he just needed a little bit of a reminder of when I ask him to turn, he needs to turn. It's not optional. We did have a pole at the end as well, just a single pole that we just went over. We didn't use it very much because people ended up coming in and lunging and using it instead. So I was kind of limited in my options, but yes, we are working on some of our turns and working on rideability a little bit here. I really like raised trot poles. It takes him a while to think through it and where to place his feet, but he really rounds out nice and moves nice, and it's a good exercise for the hind end. So here, his friend Apollo came in now, and every time I put my leg on him going this direction, he started to bow in a counter bend, refusing to acknowledge my leg. So there I had to get a little aggressive with my reins because, again, he's not in a bit and he doesn't quite understand the pressure yet. So it had to be a little bit dramatic. Now, I feel like we had a harder time going this direction because now the girl that I thought was done riding got back on to ride bareback. You can see here we're having trouble steering, and his pasture buddy is down at the other end lunging. So I had a hard time getting him to think and focus on the pole. So there he was not focused at all and had to go very lofty through there because he was not coming with enough impulsion. He wasn't paying attention. And his focus was just way worse this direction, which was really unfortunate. So here we were kind of coming around the corner. He's done it a little bit better now. He's kind of still taking away with me a little bit, kind of stretching into that bridle, and he just 100% not paying attention. Totally trips. Now he's not wanting to move forward. He's getting a little bit sassy tail because I think we're just having a little bit of confusion. He did get a little walk break to clear his brain, and now I'm asking him to go back, and he's really not listening. You can see he kind of seems to pick up pace, raises his head, and I right away catch that because I am bitless and I'm not trying to get anyone hurt. So if he's not listening to me, he gets pulled into a tight circle immediately until he can figure out what he's trying to do. So I'm just kind of doing tight circles to both directions so he knows that I need him to bend his neck and he needs to just take a breath. And we're just going to go for a little walk down and switch directions, try the poles from the other direction because he was doing pretty good that way. Just trying to redirect his brain. I don't want him to be too stressed out, and it is very hard to try and teach BITLESS when other people are riding, especially when one of the horses in the arena is his pasture mate. And so I'm just trying my best to make a good situation out of the cards we were dealt without being too harsh on him. Upcoming here, you can see he's going pretty fast and there's no way we're going to make it. So I ask him to halt. He's not really listening. You can see he kind of is raising his head up, which is hard when you're bitless. But then once he stops, we go around again. And I just want him to be nice and relaxed. And then once he can do this well, we're coming in. That's a good impulsion. He's still fighting me a little, but he thinks about it, and then that's good. So that is what we will end on with poles.
After we get done with the majority of our anticipated work for the day, we go into a nice stretchy trot. I always start loose and end loose to the best of my ability. He was really wanting to stretch there. Nice stretch for his back muscles after all of that raised pole work. And if he wants it, I will give it to him as long as he is listening to me. And for some odd reason, we get to this side and he decides he's going to really step out. So I'm shuffling to gather my reins. He's raising his head and starting to do the I'm getting ready to run off thing. At least he gives me fair warning. So I pull him into a trot circle and then I ask him for a sitting trot because if he thinks he's going to just run away, we're going to put it back into some productive work. Now, I'm a big jiggly mess, but this was actually so comfortable. I absolutely loved it. It was the best. What we do one direction, we also do to the other. So we did a quick figure eight, half of a figure eight to change direction. And stretchy, stretchy, stretchy. You can see his tail go up here, which obviously me riding, I can't tell. And as we approach the corner, he's like, oh yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to canter. And I'm like, no, we're not. So I pulled him into another small circle just to kind of see if I could get his brain to calm down a little bit. It brings him back a little bit, but it wasn't as effective as it was the other direction. So here I'm kind of just like pulling on his face a little bit. I'm sitting the trot, trying to get him to come down a little bit. And it wasn't as comfy this direction. And then he breaks to walk because he got a little bit confused what I was asking. When I asked him back into trot, we went back to the whole like running thing, which was not cute. So I just started posting until I could bring him back down into focus a little more. And then I go back to sitting. And he's like, nope, we're going to keep going. And I'm persistent. So I stayed in that sitting trot and I leaned back and I pulled on his face and it didn't really do anything. Luckily, once we got to the corner, that kind of helped. And I was able to then bring him down into a nice sitting trot. He finally got it, and I gave him a nice big stretch for that as a reward. And then I asked him to walk, and that's how we ended the riding portion of today. I feel like I still did a fair amount of voiceover on this video, which was not my intention, but I feel like there's a lot to explain. So at his last chiro visit, the vet said he needed to stretch, especially his hind legs more because he's actually a bit hunched over in the hind end. He tucks under himself a little too much is why he overreaches from behind. So what we do with the front is we pull up, I do a nice shoulder lat raise, and then I focus more down by holding the toe of his foot so that he can stretch down into his tendons and kind of stretch every muscle out. And usually, here he bit my helmet, but with the other leg, he stretches down and kind of really stretches out his back and his shoulders when we do this. I don't know why he felt the need to bite me. I always loosen his girth, put my stirrups up before we do this. And this is out of a book that is called, I have it right here by me, it's called Activate Your Horse's Core. And it's a nice little spiral book that you can buy on Amazon that has all these stretches, and all of these are part of that book as well. So I'm basically pulling his hind leg out in a similar stretch of what a farrier would hold it for a trim, and I'm holding it until I feel him relax and maybe lean back into me a little bit. Then I run my hands down the hamstrings, kind of play at those a little bit, rub the back of the tendons and muscles down the back of the leg, and then I switch to the other leg and do the same exercise. This angle is a little bit easier to see. I also have to trust that he won't walk away. He definitely has a couple times. So you can see I'm really pulling that leg out. He's kind of defensive, the vet said, about his legs, and so we're trying to get him to just relax out a little bit so his hunchback can get cured over time. And then once we're done stretching those back legs and rubbing down those muscles, we'll do a simple tail pull. And then I will put him back in his stall because he will always drink, poop, and pee immediately when we're done. And then we also do carrot stretches. I didn't show it in this video, but that's very important for neck flexibility and just to kind of help him through his pull. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's vlog. It was a little bit different, and hopefully we'll have many more vlogs for 2023 to come.
And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share with your friends so we can hopefully grow the channel even more this year.